Namaskaram to my Atma Guru and to all Atmas. Today, under God's second commandment, shall see the message of peace from Buddhism philosophy. Because all philosophies of the world, religious philosophies of the world, are meant to bring peace to humanity and peace in the world. How man can attain salvation. That is the message which God tells through His messengers to the mankind. The objective of God to send this second commandment is to make the entire humanity to live in harmony by eradicating religious intolerance, by knowing the truth told in all religious philosophies. So today in that respect, under Buddhism philosophy, what Buddha has told about this thing is a real state of things. What Buddha tells about the real state of things. Real state of things means everything is only an illusion. Says, since everything in this world is brought about by causes and conditions, there can be no fundamental distinctions among things. So Buddha says, everything what is happening is merely because of causes and conditions. Today, because of climatic conditions, there will be heavy rain. Tomorrow, there will be heavy there is heat waves flowing. So what makes the difference in seasons? One season is called winter, one season is called rainy, one season is called summer, one season is called spring season, like this autumn season. So all these are only shows the causes and conditions. So based on these causes and conditions, the situation changes. And these things happen. Fundamental there can be no fundamental distinctions about things. Because of causes and conditions is changed, but there is no fundamental distinction between things. The same sun, the same sky, the same clouds, but there is no fundamental distinction. But because of cause and condition, they are changing. The apparent distinction exists because of people's absurd and discriminating thoughts. So, these distinctions arise because of people's absurd and discriminating thoughts because of their ignorance. In the sky, there is no distinction of east and west. People create the distinction out of their own minds and then believe them to be true. If you go to the sky, you cannot see. 360 degrees is there. You don't know which is north, which is south, which is east, which is west. We created this east, west, south, north, and we believe it to be true. Mathematical numbers from 1 to infinity are each complete numbers. And each in itself carries no distinction of quantity, but people make the discrimination of their own convenience so as to be able to indicate varying amounts. This mathematical calculation from 1 to infinity, each one is a complete number, and each has itself carries no distinction of qualities. There is no specific quality attached to that particular word, but people make the discrimination for their own convenience. They say 0 is valueless. They say 100 is value. So this is created by man's own discrimination for his convenience, it says. So the entire world, entire things are based on the conditions and the causes. Inherently, there are no distinction between the process of life and the process of destruction. So, distinction between process of life and process of destruction. People make the discrimination and call one birth and another death. In action, there is no discrimination between right and wrong. but people make distinctions for their own convenience. Buddha keeps away from these discriminations and looks upon the world as a passing cloud. So when this sense of mind comes, what mind? Buddha keeps away from all these discriminations. Seasons changes, all this change, everything is part of the process of nature. So what is it? He calls upon the world as a passing cloud. A cloud passes, another cloud comes. Like that, just watch this without any attachment, he says. Buddha, every definitive thing is illusion. He knows that whatever the mind grabs and throws away is insubstantial. Whatever mind grasps and throws away, but in case are insubstantial, thus he transcends the pitfalls of images and discriminative thought. So everything arises because of the discriminative thought in the mind. So one who overcomes all these things, they can remain detached. People grasp at things for their own imagined convenience and comfort, and they grasp at wealth and pleasure and honor. They cling desperately to mortal life. The one who desperately clings to market, mortal life, they see, they grasp things for their own imagined convenience. So they say, that man is rich, is a wealthy man, another man is poor man. How this has come? This is because of the discriminative imagination. According to one's convenience. One has got wealth, another has no wealth. But ultimately everything is in this earth. So what is it is, don't be carried away by discrimination. As long as discrimination which carries on in the mind, there cannot be any rest. When you die, you can take anything with you, nothing. Even if you earn thousands and thousands of nothing is going to come with you. To whom you are saving, that is your children, nobody is going to come with you. So all these things, what is there in the system, are all because of our imagination. They make arbitrary distinction between existence and non-existence, good and bad, right and wrong. For people, life is a succession of graspings and attachments, and then because of this, they must assume the illusions of pain and suffering. So, in the mind, man has got this grasping. Of, is, they think this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this is existent, this is non-existent. All that happened in the mind. Grasping power of the mind says the distinction, brings the distinction because of the imaginative faculty. And this makes them to assume these illusions bring in the pain and suffering for them. As long as illusions are there, you face sufferings. Attachment is there, sufferings is there. When there was a man on a long journey who came to a river, he said to himself, this side of the river is very difficult and dangerous to walk on. The other side seems easier and safer. But how shall I get across? He asked. He felt the other side is safer. This side is very hard to live. Then how to cross the river is. So he built a raft out of branches and reeds and safely crossed the river. He put all the branches of and crossed the river. Then he thought to himself, this raft has been very useful to me in crossing the river. I will not abandon it to rot on the bank, but I will carry it along with me. So this raft was very useful for him to cross the river. So he thought, right, by, since it is useful to him, he want to take with him. So he don't want to abandon it. And thus he voluntarily assumed an unnecessary burden. And this man can't be called a wise man. So since he felt it is useful to cross the river, he thought of taking it with him. So it added a burden for him. This parable teaches that even a good thing, when it becomes an unnecessary burden, should be thrown away. Much more so if it is a bad thing. Buddha made it the rule of his life to avoid useless and unnecessary discussions. They don't want people to involve in gossip, which is waste of time. So, in this limited time, you have to see that how best you can able to fulfill your duties, gain a spiritual emancipation, and attain salvation. That is the objective. Things do not come and go. Neither they do appear and disappear. Therefore, one does not get things or lose things. So these are all illusions. This is happening to me, this is not happening to me. I'm facing suffering, I'm facing happiness. All these are all relative terms, illusions. One should not get attached to all these things. As long as you get attached, you are under illusion. Buddha teaches that things neither appear nor disappear. They transcend both the affirmation of existence and the denial of existence. So, one who follows the Buddha's teaching, for them that things neither appear nor disappear. They transcend both the affirmation of existence and the denial of existence. That is, everything being a concordance and succession of causes and conditions, a thing in itself does not exist. So, it can be said that it is non-existent. At the same time, because it has a relative connection with the causes and conditions, it can be said that it is not non-existent. So, this is a relative term. In one angle, if you see it is a existent, another angle it is non-existent. So, ordinary thing, because of its form, is the source of delusion. The ordinary thing, because of its form, is the source of delusion. If the form is not grasped and adhered to, this false imagination and absurd delusion will not occur. The form is not grasped and adhered to. That means what? If your mind remains calm, non-attached, there is no grasping. If the form, there is no possibility of the form is not grasped and adhered to. So when you the form is not grasped and adhered to, this false imagination or absurd delusion will not occur. Enlightenment is seeing the truth and being free from such a foolish delusion. The enlightenment happens as only when you get relieved of all these illusions and delusions. The world indeed is like a dream, and the treasures of the world are an alluring mirage. Like the apparent distance is a picture, things have no reality in themselves, but are like heat haze. To believe that things created by an incalculable series of causes can last forever is a serious mistake and is called the theory of permanency. What is this? What is theory of permanency? One who believes that things created by an incalculable series of causes can last forever. That is a serious mistake. And this is called the theory of permanency. But it's not just as great a mistake to believe that things completely disappear. This is called the theory of non-existence. At the same time, it is not just a mistake. It is not a great mistake to believe that things completely disappear. This is called the theory of non-existence. These categories of everlasting life and death and existent non-existent do not apply to the essential nature of things, but only to the appearances as they are observed by defiled human eye. So, what is the essential nature of things, but only to their appearances as they are observed by defiled human eye, perceptions of illusion. Because of human desire, people become related and attached to these appearances. Because of attachments, a desire is born. And this because of human desire, people become related and attached to these appearances, but in the essential nature of things, they are free from such discrimination and attachments. Since everything is created by a series of cause and conditions, the appearances of things are constantly changing. That is, there is no consistency about it as there should be and about authentic appearances. It is because of this constant changing of appearances that we liken things to a mirage and a dream. But in spite of this constant changing in appearances, things in their essential spiritual nature are constant and changeless. So to a man, river seems like a river, but to a hungry demon which sees fire in the water, it may seem to be like a fire. Therefore, to speak to a man about a river existing would have some sense, but to the demon it would have no sense. In like manner, it can be said that things are like illusions. They can be said neither to be existent or non-existent. Yet, it cannot be said that apart from this world of changes and appearances, there is another world of permanence and truth. It is a mistake to regard this world as either a temporal world or as a real one. But ignorant people of this world assume that this is a real world and proceed to act upon that absurd assumption. But as this world is only an illusion, their acts being based on error only lead them to harm and sufferings. A wise man recognizing that the world is not an illusion does not act as if it were real. So he escapes the suffering. So all this explains the truth that whatever happening in this world, everything, are because of causes and conditions. So there is no change in the situation, things, everything is same. Because of cause and condition, the nature changes. But we should not get attached. We should just move on. And that is the real doing the work without attachment. And one does all the work without attachment. They release their karmas and they move in the path of attaining mukti. That is what Buddha says in this manner. Thank you.